Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Cherilyn. Today I'm showing you how to crochet this easy beanie. So this is one of the easiest patterns. As you can see, it has this ribbed effect that looks really good. And that is done with single crochets, which is one of the basic stitches. And this beanie is made from a rectangle panel, so there's no decrease. You basically just make a rectangle and then you turn that into a beanie. Also, the top is relatively flat. It's flatter than most beanies I've made. Usually, if you want a flat top, you need to work in rounds and do some increase. But with this method, you don't have to do that. You'll just naturally have this flatter top. It took me 2 days to finish this beanie. That includes recording this video and editing it, so you can just easily whip this up as well. Let's get started. So the yarn I used for this project is a 10-ply yarn that's equivalent to weight 4 or worsted weight. And it calls for a 5mm crochet hook, and that's what I'll be using. You'll also need some stitch markers. If you don't have these, you can use hairpins or scrap yarns, scissors, and a yarn needle. I'll first start by making a slip knot. Insert your hook. And make a chain. So yarn over, pull it through, that's chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're gonna make a chain that is the height of the beanie. So I chained 40. That measures about 12 inches. So this is the height of the beanie, and I want this side to be the brim, the fold over brim. So about 10 stitches here is gonna be folded over like that. So this is going to be the top of the beanie, and at the top of the beanie I'll do these stitches a bit differently from the rest so that it doesn't have that extra fabric on top of the beanie. So in one word, this end with the tail, these stitches will be different. So now that I have a chain of 40, I'm going to start row 1. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to insert in the second chain from the hook in the back loop, yarn over, pull it up, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 to make a single crochet. I'm going to mark the stitch. So that's the first stitch of this row. And then I'll continue making single crochet in each chain. So insert in the next chain, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2. Next chain again, insert hook, pull yarn up, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'll continue doing this. Okay, so I have 5 stitches left here. I should have 35 single crochets. And I can count from this one that is marked. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Okay, so 35 single crochets, and for the last 5, as I mentioned before, I'm gonna do a different stitch because this is the top of the beanie. I don't want that extra fabric. So the stitch I'm gonna use for the last 5 stitches is slip stitch. So you simply insert in the next chain, yarn over, pull yarn up. You still have 2 loops on your hook, but you're gonna pull the first one through the second one, just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing for the rest of 4 stitches. So insert your hook, pull it up, and slip stitch. So 3 more, insert, slip stitch, and that's the last one, slip stitch. I'm gonna chain 1 and turn. So that is the chain 1, that is the first stitch. So on my way back, I'm gonna do the same thing for these 5 stitches, because again, this side with the yarn tail is the top of the beanie. So that is the chain 1, that's the first stitch. I'm gonna insert in the back loop, slip stitch, and then I'm going to mark this very first stitch, because for slip stitches it's kind of hard to tell the stitches. So I'm gonna mark it. That is the first stitch. I'm gonna do 4 more stitches like that. So insert your hook in the back loop of the next stitch and work a slip stitch. Okay, so continue doing that. This is number 3, slip stitch, number 4, and 5. So 5 slip stitches, and then from the very next stitch, I'm gonna start working single crochets. So insert your hook in the back loop of the next stitch, pull yarn up, and single crochet. Continue working single crochet in the back loop of each stitch to the end of the row. Okay, so the last stitch is marked like that. You're still gonna go in the back loop and make a single crochet, and that's the end of row 2. Okay, so from row 3, we're just going to alternate between these 2 rows. So row 3 is the same as row 1, which means we chain 1 and turn. On this end that has no yarn tail, you're going to start with single crochets, do 35 single crochets starting from the first stitch. That's the chain 1, that's the first stitch. Go in the back loop and start the single crochets. I still encourage you to mark your very first stitch of each row. Okay, so just do single crochets, do 35 of them, or you can just continue doing single crochets until you have 5 stitches left, because for these 5 stitches, you're going to do slip stitches just like row 1. So 5 slip stitches to the last stitch like that. You're going to insert in the back loop only, and then chain 1. And like I said, row 4 is the same as row 2. So the pattern for that row is you start from 5 slip stitches in the back loop, and then you do 35 single crochets all the way to the end of the row. So that's exactly the same as row 2. So basically that's what you're going to do. Just alternate between those 2 rows. So this is the end of row 4. Row 5 is the same as row 1. Row 6 is the same as row 2. So alternate between repeat row 1 and 2, and then just work back and forth like that. Always make sure you have 5 slip stitches on this end. So keep working your panel up like that until this length is your head circumference. So I'm gonna continue working and I'll see you back here. Okay, so this is what I've done. This edge needs to be my head circumference, and I have it about 21 inches, but it can also stretch to 22 inches, which is my head circumference. And I also wrap this around my head to make sure it fits. Apart from that, I also need to make sure I end my rows at this end, not this, because if I end here, I can just do the seam next, and then after that, I can reach the top of the beanie and just close off the top. So make sure you end at this end. For the row count, I have 70 rows. To count your rows, you can simply count your bumps. One bump is 2 rows, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Okay, so now I'm gonna sew these edges together. I'm going to assign this side as the right side, because for this side you have these V's that looks good, and for this side the V's are upside down. So this is going to be the right side, that is the wrong side. And for the seam, you want to do it from the wrong side. The first 10 stitches here is going to be folded over like that. So this is actually going to be the right side, which means I'll sew up the first 10 stitches from this side. And then I'll flip this over and do the rest from this side, if that makes sense. If you don't really understand, that's okay, just follow what I do. I'm going to put my hook back into this loop. And then I'm gonna insert in the very first stitch here. This is actually the foundation chain, so it doesn't look exactly like the top 2 loops of normal stitches, but I'm gonna insert in the very first stitch, yarn over, and pull it through, chain 1. Okay, now I'm gonna start from the very first stitch here. As you can see, that is the top 2 loops of the first stitch. And then on this edge, I'm gonna insert back into the first stitch here, both loops, yarn over, and slip stitch. So that's the first stitch. Continue with the second stitch, insert hook in the top 2 loops, and then second stitch on this side as well, yarn over, and slip stitch. So that's the second stitch. I'm gonna do 10 stitches in total like this. So continue with the third one, 3, 4. Okay, so that's number 10. So that's the brim. After this, I'm gonna turn my work inside out. Before that, it helps if you mark the next stitches. I'm gonna put a stitch marker in the next stitches, both of them. So one here, and then one here. These are the next stitches. Okay, now I'm gonna flip this inside out. And it looks like this. So as you can see, that is the next stitch there. Gonna take the stitch marker off. And the next stitch on this side is this one. So I'll insert in this next stitch. And then in the next stitch on this side as well, both loops. And then slip stitch from this stitch. And then you just continue doing that. Next stitch, top 2 loops, next stitch, top 2 loops, slip stitch. And you do this all the way to the end of the row. So that's the last stitch. Slip stitch, chain 1, and then you're going to cut this yarn and pull it through. Remember to leave enough length because we need that to close off the top. And then you're going to get your yarn needle. Actually, I have another tail here. I'm going to tie them together first. This is the wrong side, so I'm going to flip this work back to the right side. And you can see we have these V's at the top. So basically, I'm just gonna go through them like that, just underneath these top 2 loops. This is the seam, so this is different. And that's the first V. So I'm gonna go like that and then just pull this yarn through. Like that. And then you continue doing this all the way around. Okay, so when you come back, you can pull this yarn tight. And then you still have a small hole here. I'm going to tie these tails together first. And then you just need to sew this hole shut. So you basically just go across like that along this edge. I'm gonna go across first over there to that side. And then I'll come out from here, go across to that side. So go up through this edge and then go across to that edge. And then you keep doing that until this hole disappears. So like that. And now I'm gonna bring this yarn to the wrong side as well. And now that they're both on the wrong side, I can tie them together. And then you can cut this yarn. So that's the top, and that's the seam. 10 stitches here for the brim. Fold it over, it looks like that. So that's it. That's the beanie done.